There are serious accusations gaining attention against a doctor who worked for an ICE detention center in South Georgia. A whistleblower claims surgeries were performed on several detainees without them fully understanding what was happening.
So this bombshell $30 million defamation suit about MSNBC saying that this doctor was performing mass sterilizations against ICE detainees is crazy. This is Dr. Iman. Now, he's a gynecologist who worked at a detention center for about 3.5 years, and he wants $30 million from the defamers at MSNBC.
This is Dawn Wooten. She's a nurse who worked at an ICE facility, a detention center down in Georgia, and she claimed that Dr. Amin at the facility performed unnecessary procedures on immigrant women, including mass sterilization.
That obviously wasn't Nate the lawyer. That was Danny from the channel Danny and Direct. So I'm going to let Danny tell you what happened starting on September 14th, 2020.
So the accusation came from a nurse who worked at this Georgia ICE facility, right? She's accusing this doctor who he was referred patients from the ICE facility. These patients came in and they were forced sterilized. According to her, these were all rumors that were speculative, but she called him the womb collector.
Yesterday, we learned about a whistleblower, a nurse working at a Georgia Immigrations and Customs Enforcement ICE facility, leveling, honestly, ghastly allegations, chief among them that women in that facility, migrant women, say that a doctor was performing unauthorized hysterectomies on immigrant women detained at that facility, which, again, is privately run. Now, you might have seen this story zipping around social media, understandably. And the allegations come from a formal complaint that was actually filed with the watchdog at the Department of Homeland Security. And the whistleblower is on the record, is named. Her name is Dawn Wooten. She was employed by that detention center. And along with those unauthorized hysterectomies, the complaint also alleges the facility lacked protection against coronavirus for detained immigrants, and that detainees suffer from a general lack of medical care. Behind that whistleblower complaint, who got this all started, is Dawn Wooten, and her lawyer, John Whitty, join me now. Dawn Wooten and John Whitty, it's great to have you both. Thank you very much. Ms. Wooten, I want to start with you and just ask you to tell us what you did. What was your job at this facility? When did you start working there?
I was first employed at Irwin County Detention Center in 2010. I've been to this facility on three different occasions. I returned in 2014, worked until 2016, came back in 2019. I was a nurse there, a medication nurse. I worked 6A to 6P. We did total detainee and total inmate care were my responsibilities there.
You talk about in the complaint a hearing from women who are detained there, talking about a specific doctor performing hysterectomies, referring to him as a uterus collector. Tell us about how you heard about this doctor and what women said about their experiences with him.
You have detained women. I had several detained women on numerous occasions that would come to me and say, Miss Wooten, I had a hysterectomy. Why? I had no answers as to why they had those procedures. And one lady walked up to me here this last time around between October of 19 until July the 2nd. And she said, what is he? Is he the uterus collector? Does he collect uteruses? And I asked her, what does she mean? And she says, everybody that I talked to has had a hysterectomy. And you just don't know what to say. I mean, I don't have a answer for why that they would come to me and they would say, is he the uterus collector?
The facility is operated by LaSalle Corrections, a private prison company, and we all know how those are.
The Department of Homeland Security and its Inspector General received a whistleblower's complaint from a left-wing organization called Project South. Now, the complaint alleges that immigrant women were frequently sent to doctors outside of the detention center who sterilized them by removing their uterus and womb.
At least 19 migrant women held at Irwin County Immigration Detention Facility in Georgia have come forward with claims of medical abuse against a doctor. That's according to new reporting from the LA Times. The women say Dr. Mahendra Aman performed overly aggressive or medically unnecessary procedures without their consent or pressured them into it. Now, that includes procedures affecting their ability to have children. The doctor denies the allegations.
Now, a quick word from this video sponsor, Shopify. Okay, so selling a little or a lot of, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is a global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your own online shop stage to the first real life store stage, all the way to the we did it, we just hit 1 million order stage. Shopify is there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person point-of-sale system. Whatever, wherever you're selling, Shopify has got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading e-commerce platforms. And sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. Now, Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the United States and is the global force behind companies like Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen. Millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries use Shopify. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success at every step of the way because businesses that grow with Shopify. Okay, so sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Nate the Lawyer. Go to shopify.com/Nate the Lawyer now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Nate the Lawyer.
Nurse Dawn Wooten said, according to the complaint, we've questioned among ourselves, like, goodness, he's taking everyone's stuff out. That's his specialty. He's the uterus collector. I know that's ugly. Is he collecting these things or something? Everybody he sees, he's taking all their uteruses out or he's taken their tubes out. While Wooten didn't identify the doctors, lawyers for detained women identified the doctor as Dr. Amin, who practices in Douglas, Georgia. NBC News reported that Amin continued to see women from the facility for the past several years despite complaints from his previous patients. In 2015, Dr. Amin was investigated by the Justice Department for making false claims to Medicaid and Medicare. He and another doctor involved paid $525,000 in a civil settlement.
NBC journalists first reported the story on September 20th via an article published on the NBC website. MSNBC anchors then picked up the story from numerous broadcast segments. A court document revealed that Rachel Maddow initially questioned the report and jumping to conclusions, but still covered the story on her weekly show.
I know there's a reason that ICE put their denial in the terms immediately about whether this is human experimentation on these essentially powerless detainees and refugees. I understand why they went right at that because of the way that resonates with all of us who know any history here. But the fact that this is part of the government where we're training people who are working, even at a remove, working for the U.S. government to treat human beings the way that immigrants and refugees have been treated. It's just, I mean, it's on all of us in terms of what the government is saying we stand for and what they'll do in our name.
Now, in the NBC Standards Department reviewed and approved the reports, even though the nurse provided no evidence to back up her claims, and NBC Standards deputy said at the time, according to court documents, he was actually unsure whether to actually publish the story on NBCnews.com.
Scholl stated in an email, Nurse Wooten has no direct knowledge of what she's claiming, is unable to name the doctor involved, if I understood correctly, and we are unable to verify any of it or determine whether there's really a story here at all. Essentially, it boils down to a single source with an agenda telling us things we have no basis to believe are true. It's insane to me that they already identified that there were problems with the story, already acknowledged that they couldn't verify the story, and that there was a bias or an agenda in play in the story, and yet they still allowed it to run. It's insane. And the reporters who wrote the story, they even shared their own concerns. One said that it sounded like they don't have much beyond the complaint. And then the other even remarked, only 2 hysterectomies? Yet they ran the story anyway.
Now, an attorney for one of the ICE detainees told reporters that their client's hysterectomy was necessary due to a cancer diagnosis. So even though they knew that even some of the hysterectomies that were performed, or matter of fact, the hysterectomies that they know that were performed for medically proper reasons. This woman had cancer and needed the hysterectomy.
Despite all of the concerns, the reporters still published their story titled, "Lawyers Allege Abuse of Migrant Women by Gynecologist for Georgia ICE Detention Center," the very next day. Based on the court documents, the court records on their own, the email exchanges on their own are so incredibly damning in this case. And the guy who was tasked with verifying this information was the one who was raising the concerns and saying, I don't see a case here. Sounds like there's a lot of allegations here that are unsupported, and it sounds like there might be an agenda.
We are following breaking news today. It's about an alarming new whistleblower complaint that alleges, quote, high numbers of female detainees, detained immigrants at an ICE detention center in Georgia received questionable hysterectomies while in ICE custody. That whistleblower complaint, first reported by The Intercept, was filed by a nurse who worked full-time at the Irwin County Detention Center in Ocala, Georgia. The nurse says that detained women told her they didn't fully understand why they were undergoing hysterectomies.
You're quoted in the complaint as saying that's his specialty. He's the uterus collector. Is that how people refer to this doctor?
That's how the detainees referred to this physician.
Chris Haynes, from the show Chris Haynes, we just don't know if any of this is true. And they're reporting this as news. Moving it to Danny.
It seems that the opportunity to discredit President Trump was too delicious for them to pass up. And so they had to go after this story, even though they knew it wasn't true.
So, amend soon for defamation.
A Senate panel highlighted the results of the 18-month investigation of the off-site healthcare clinic for migrants.
Now, the investigation focused on Dr. Iman and his oversight of the ICE facility and his treatment of women. They interviewed 6 women in detail about their experiences with Dr. Iman. Now, the Senate came back and did not substantiate any of the allegations of mass sterilizations by ICE detainees. But records did indicate that Dr. Iman did perform 2 hysterectomies, but those hysterectomies were medically necessary. Now, as reporters breathlessly produced this shocking story, after the story online and on air about the uterus collector, in text messages, emails, and conference phone calls, they expressed doubts about the veracity of the tale brought to them by this whistleblower.
So Dr. Iman did exactly what any rational person would do and decided to drop a bombshell $30 million defamation lawsuit against the Democratic mouthpiece. Recently got the go-ahead from a Georgia judge, Lisa Godbee. The judge ruled that Rachel Maddow, Nicole Wallace, Chris Hayes, and other journalists, goaded by executives of the parent company NBC Universal, recklessly and falsely put out a story claiming a gynecologist working in a Trump-era immigration facility performed mass hysterectomies on women, most of which were unnecessary. The judge ruled, and quote, "In the end, we are left with this. NBC investigated the whistleblower letter's accusations. That investigation did not corroborate the accusations and even undermined some. NBC republished the letter's accusations anyway," end quote. The judge wrote a scathing 108-page ruling on June 26th. She ordered a jury trial to determine whether MSNBC engaged in actual malice.
Now, as we know, when it comes to defamation lawsuits, actual malice is where it's at. Now, Danny, do you believe that Dr. Iman has enough to prove actual malice?
Based on the documents that have been provided here, yeah, I think he does. I think, absent any other documents indicating that these claims were actually true, I don't know what sort of defense they could possibly raise to defend themselves in this case.
Well, with that said, how do you guys feel about it? Do you think that Dr. Iman has a case? The judge thinks so, and they are going to trial. Is he going to get us $30 million? How much would you give Dr. Iman if you were the judge? Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.